For the past several years, I've been on this incredible journey building a social enterprise. And there are two statements that I receive often. Hey, you're the pants lady. And I don't know how to respond to this one. Dawn, I saw a program about sex trafficking, and I thought of you. Never in my wildest dreams did I think that that was a statement I would need to figure out a response to. In case you didn't know anything about my business, that pretty much sums it up. It's about pants and sex trafficking. If you have a Bible with you, we're going to be looking at Judges chapter 6. Let's take a second to look at the context of the conversation. If we look at the beginning of chapter 6, it tells us the people of Israel did what was evil in the sight of the Lord, and the Lord gave them into the hand of Midian 7 years. Now, he sends an angel of the Lord to Gideon. The Lord is with you, O mighty man of valor. Please, sir, if the Lord is with us, why has all this happened to us? And the Lord turned to him and said, go in this might of yours and save Israel. Threshing wheat is very strenuous. But maybe it's more that the Lord is referring to the strength that comes from that tension of seeing what is and knowing what ought to be. You've seen injustice. You've experienced tension. Use that strength. It reminds me of Paul encouraging the faithful to fight the good fight. God calls us to be part of his redemptive process, to lean into injustice, to be part of restoring what is broken. And he never said it would be easy. I wish I could have heard Gideon's response. Please, Lord, how can I save Israel? Behold, my clan is the weakest in Manasseh, and I'm the least of my father's household. When I say I'm not good with numbers, I'm not exaggerating or self-deprecating. It's a fact. Gideon was presenting facts when he said his clan was the weakest in Manasseh, and he was the least in his father's household. It doesn't mean that he didn't want to be used by God to do amazing things. Gideon was not the first nor the last to be called into roles that seemed far outside of his ability. God called Moses to bring his people out of Egypt. What was Moses' response? Who am I that I should go to Pharaoh and bring the children out of Egypt? I am not eloquent, either in the past or since you've spoken with your servant, but I am slow of speech and of tongue. How did Jeremiah respond when God called him to be a prophet to the nations? Ah, Lord God, behold, I do not know how to speak, and I am only a youth. God has a way of calling people who aren't equipped or prepared. But he comforted Gideon the same way he calmed Moses, Joshua, and so many others when he said, I will be with you. And Gideon, you shall strike the Midianites as one man. God, are you sure you want me to do this? I just want to make sure. So I'm going to leave this wool fleece out, and it's going to be on the threshing floor. If it's wet tomorrow and all the land is dry, then I'll know that you're going to use me to lead Israel to freedom from the Midianites, like you said. The next morning, he wrung enough dew out of the fleece to fill a bowl. Then Gideon said, don't be angry, God. But are you really sure you want me to do this? I'm going to put the fleece out one more time. Please let it be dry and all the land around it wet, if this is really what you want. And God did so that night. I understand why Bible scholars say that this shows Gideon's reluctance to be a leader. But I also understand that when God calls you to a place of your weakness, you walk by faith, which means you need more encouragement and you need reminders more often than if you were working in your strengths. God used 2 wedding gifts and that tension to draw me into the business world. One gift was multiple pairs of fisherman pants that a friend coming from Thailand brought with her as a wedding gift. I had 1 pair, and I thoroughly enjoyed wearing them, yet I could not find any more in the United States. Another gift from my husband was a pair of sandals, and understanding the story of where those sandals were made helped me understand social enterprise, using business strategies to fight social issues and help people. The compliments received about those pants began the first day I was married. I wore my favorite pair of fisherman pants and my new sandals as we left on our honeymoon. One of the TSA agents commented on how much she liked my pants and asked where she could buy them. How often does a TSA agent compliment you on your clothing? I got on the plane and the flight attendant wanted to talk to me about my pants. I visited a friend in the hospital. The nurse asked me where she could find pants like mine. I even had a woman chase me through a parking lot, say, "Tell me about your pants. Those look really comfortable and I've never seen them." Completely unique pants. The idea of using business to benefit people and the desire to do something to fight sex trafficking raised the question, could these pants be the foundation of a business that could help girls being rescued from sex trafficking? The tension I was experiencing turned into a question. Would this really work? Could I start a business? I have 2 degrees in education and 1 in theology. Notice anything missing here? I already told you how much I dislike numbers. I was invited to join a research trip to India to learn about the people and processes needed to help restore victims. Connections with the perfect people kept happening. One Saturday morning, I woke up excited that I had nothing else on the schedule, and I could focus on the business plan. Part of putting the business plan together is pulling together numbers to represent how much money it's going to take to actually make this happen. I sat down with a man I mentioned earlier. I call him my mentor and my tormentor. He does one much better than the other, I'll just say that. And the CFO from his company. He started by saying, to do this really well, Dawn, you will need $1 to $2 million. My heart almost stopped, and I said, what? They talked through the financials, explaining that I would need an office and 5 full-time staff. I ensured them that I could do things on a smaller scale. And they said, you need $50,000 to do a 3-day trade show. And I said, I don't need an office. I talked them down to $650,000. $650,000, $1 million, $2 million, they're all kind of beyond my comprehension. But on the other side, I can't fathom what it looks like to have 10,000 women in one area being sold multiple times a day for sex. My heart was racing. My head was spinning. In college, my Bible study leader said something I'll never forget. Don't go to the Bible when you have a problem or disaster strikes. Be consistent in the Word. Spend time with God on a regular basis. And when those problems strike, continue in the Word, and God will meet you there. I made my way down to my wilderness chair, and I picked up my reading in the Bible at the next chapter from where I left off. The chapter before me was Judges chapter 7. The troops are gathered. The battle is imminent. Gideon has 32,000 men beside him. The Lord said, that's too many people. Seriously? Tell anyone who's afraid to return home. 22,000 men left. The Lord looks and says, that's still too many people. You've got to be kidding me. Take them over to the water. Tell all those who use their hands to get water to stay with you. And he sent home all but 300 men. Conventional military wisdom might say that it takes 32,000 men to defeat Midian. But the Israelites could say, we defeated Midian. Or others could say, of course they defeated Midian. They had 32,000 men. Gideon was the leader. He had 300 men. But God defeated the Midianites. If Made for Freedom succeeds, they'll know it wasn't because of me. It had to be something else, and God is leading the way. The one without an MBA, the one without $1 million. He broke my heart with this injustice and was calling me to trust him so that his strength would be evidenced through my weakness. That was almost 3 years ago. I will not say that it's been easy, but I can say that God has shown himself to be faithful. He has provided funding for us to get to this point. He's provided partnerships that are essential in the growth. And he continues to encourage me. What if God calls you to reach out to the homeless? What if God calls you to move into a part of town that is deemed unsafe? What if God called you to care and counsel for someone with a completely different worldview? Don't worry if you're not an expert. Don't worry if you don't know exactly how to proceed. If God calls you to serve him in an area of your weakness, it's okay to be honest about those weaknesses. Even if you're not ready for the question, let your ultimate response be yes. Thank you very much.